Ladies and gentlemen, Steven B.
Hello, dreamy people, and welcome to another day in the Haven. Today I am joined by Steven B, a local artist and saxophonist who has a passion to spread what he terms as musical gospel. Steven has performed alongside national recording artists to include Jeffrey Osborne, Regina Bell, George Duke, Shirley Jones, Gene Carn, and a host of very, very talented artists. He's the front man for the group Steven B and Friends, and he is here today to talk about his love of music and his process for making it. So now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Steven B.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Haven.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to be here.
And you know what? I am really, really excited to have you here, and I know that our audience absolutely loved the song that you just performed, Philly Time.
Philly Cool.
Philly Cool from your, which album? Is it this one?
Forthcoming.
from your forthcoming album, but this is your
EP.
latest album called It's Time. Okay, I'm getting it straight. We're gonna roll with it. I'm getting it straight. I'm getting it together. So, Philly Cool, beautiful song.
Thank you.
What inspired it?
It was written during COVID, and nothing in particular. I just dug the vibe, and I guess being from Philly, and it just kind of reminded me of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, you're from Philly.
Yes.
So you know what? This is a question that I have for you guys who are musicians, and there are no lyrics in your song. How does the names come to you? I mean, this one you just explained. You know, you're from Philly. It was a Philly vibe, but you have other songs. So how do you determine what you're going to call the song? I'm just so fascinated by that whole process.
It's interesting because it's there's no limit of avenues of different ways you can be inspired. It could be from a meal you ate. It could be a person you saw walking down the street, a sermon you heard, or a book you read, a dream you had. It's endless.
So
endless.
that comes
and
first.
the feeling.
And the feeling.
Yeah.
So those inspiring points come first, and then at what point does the music start to evolve in your head to match whatever it is that inspired you?
There's just no order.
Yeah.
There's no order.
Okay. It's different for every song?
Yeah. And for, I would say, every musician and artist. I guess if you compare it to writing a book or writing a story, some folks start the story from the end in the beginning and tell it backwards. So it all depends.
Okay, so I want to dig a little bit deeper. So let's take Philly Cool. So I mean, you're from Philly, but you said you wrote it during COVID. So is there some synergy between where you were from, or where you are from, and that time period in which that particular song came to you?
I think for me, COVID was like a cutoff of the switch, and it made me sit down and be quiet. And I have a saying that I say silence, definition by silence. And in the silence, you can hear a lot. And it made me, actually I did a lot of writing of music, not to say because we weren't out playing, so I had time to write, but I think it just gave me an introspective look into writing differently than prior times.
Wow. Okay, that's very, very interesting and fascinating. I'm completely enamored by musicians, particularly jazz musicians, because you just kind of vibe with them. It's not like a song with lyrics that you can relate to. You can relate to the feeling and the emotion because of the words of the song. And in this way, you're still relating to the music and the emotion, but it's at a different level.
Yeah, I think with jazz and other improvised music, it's a conversation between the musicians without words. I take a very spiritual approach to music because I believe that it's the most important thing next to breathing. We all are musicians, and I say that because when you're born, your heart beat. Okay, music is rhythm, melody, and harmony.
Okay.
And harmony, people getting along with each other.
Right.
Okay. Everybody's different, so you have your own melody, but everybody has a heartbeat, which is the rhythm.
Right, right. So Steven B and Friends. Well, first of all, how long has your group been together? How long have you been writing music?
Well, the group consists of some of my very, very close friends that I've met since I've been here, musicians I've played with, and we spiritually get along. Thus, that comes across within the music when we're playing. I would say my keyboard player I've known for almost 30 years or plus, and I guess the rest of musicians within 20, 25 years we've known them. Yeah.
So knowing them for as long as you do, you all of you are vibing, and you just know like when it's time for that bass to start, or when it's time for the keyboard to maybe play a riff. Or again, I'm fascinated by it because I can see you all playing, and I can tell that you're vibing, and it's just so interesting to see that everybody knows their part in that puzzle that you're all putting together for the listener to hear and to see.
It's a conversation. If you're talking with 4 or 5 different people, everybody can't talk at the same time. So, you know, just for the conversation to be effective. And it's the same thing like on the stage.
Yeah. So you've collaborated with some pretty heavy hitters in the music industry. So I think, was it 12 years old when you started playing the sax? Yeah. So talk to me about your. Is it just the saxophone, or are you doing other instruments as well?
Well, I started playing the clarinet when I was about 5, I guess,
Okay.
and I played that until about 12. Music was in our family. My father actually was a semi-professional saxophonist, and he played actually with John Coltrane back in Philadelphia in the big bands during the 40s. So I was always around music. And I guess about 12, early teenage years, I just picked it up. I went from the clarinet to the saxophone.
Is that like a natural progression, most?
Kind of. The clarinet is a little harder to play, but it's a very good transition for the saxophone. And I wound up playing with some friends, and we did the R&B thing and around town and had a band, and it just kind of went from there. Just to add, I also attended church, and I was also in the choir, so I always was singing. So that was a part of the music for me too.
Yeah. So do you add vocalization in your?
I do.
You
I
do.
do.
Okay.
It's interesting. I had to sit down and think about this. There's some songs that I don't hear playing the saxophone, but I hear it vocally. Then there's some songs I don't hear vocally that the saxophone for me speaks.
That's just so amazing.
Yeah, and you have a lot of instrumentalists say that their instrument is their voice. I just kind of got a hybrid of it, I guess. You know, and it depends on the music too.
Yeah, you know, people like Jonathan Butler who do that very, very well. A few, actually, I can think of some others who incorporate the two instruments, their voice and whatever else the instrument they're playing. So that's a natural thing. But at the same time, to know which is supposed to be vocals and what's supposed to be an instrument, and sometimes it's both.
Just kind of hear it. You kind of feel it, hear it, feel it, hear it, feel it, and it just.
But it's so abstract.
You know.
It's like the whole process. You can't just like really nail it down. It's not, you know, it's not like a book where, you know, beginning, middle. Well, it has a beginning, middle, end, right? Music definitely does, but you know what I mean. It's just. It's very hard to.
It's the same thing. Trust me, it's the same thing. I just think it's in a different atmosphere.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. All right. So you started playing at 13, and then you were playing with local groups. And for our dream catchers that are watching, who aspire to play to a larger audience, such as the musicians that you've played with, what track did you take to get that kind of visibility in order to be recognized and say, okay, I'd like for this person to play in my band while I'm in DC, or, you know, just talk to us a little bit about